let's talk a little bit about before we talk. We're done talking about Rod. Let's talk about some other people.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So you want to move on to the really important subjects, like we're gonna have to spend at least an hour on this. Like, is Sam Cedar a good guy or a bad guy? Like,
exactly. Is Sam Cedar the killer? Is it Sam Cedar in the basement with a lead pipe and a turkey leg?
Yeah. That is the most important political question. I don't care what you think about Medicare for all, unions, Palestine. I care whether you think that, that Sam is the good podcaster or the bad podcaster.
Yes. Is he saving us from another podcaster that might be worse? Yeah. How does the transformation of celebrity fandom into a quasi-political act illustrate the illusion of political engagement in the neoliberal context? Is it critique or is it just TMZ?
I've seen a lot of TMZ, I gotta say. pretty openly, in some cases, people just doing TMZ, like, they're, be like, oh my God, did you see that some podcaster that 0.001% of Americans have heard of? Did you see what they said about some other podcaster that 0.001% of Americans have heard of? It's like the nerdiest form of TMZ, right?
You can't get a sex scandal out of him.
No.
Before we started, I watched a video about Puffy's son. I guess he got served papers for assaulting someone on their yacht. So we can't get good scandals. The closest we got was, who's the Chapo guy that like sent some messages?
Virgil Texas,
yeah.
who's also Breonna Joygray's co-host. But it's like, even that, right? It's a sex scandal without any sex in it. It's just texting. It's pretty lame.
There's never anything scandalous. It does all seem, to me, it seems like nothing but TMZ. And when I look at, when I'm doing the video clips, uploading them to YouTube, and you have to log in. And so I log in. The account that the This Is Revolution account is not an account that I watch shows on.
Sure.
So I always see different things than what I usually watch. And when all the podcast shit comes up, I'm like, this is all just who said what about who.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, very much about that. And it's, look, in some ways, I guess I'm, as a professional haver of opinions.
An opinionist, dude.
I guess I'm flattered by the idea that, like, which opinion havers have is the most important question in the universe. But I've got to say, it's like an awkward fit with historical materialism. Like, like what do we what's our theory of change here? Right? Like, assuming that the goal, if you, call yourself a leftist and, you don't just mean a liberal, right? Then like, okay, I'm assuming that on some level, right, the goal is to bring about a more materially equal society. But if that's the case, then presumably the strategy is about organizing people from the bottom up, appealing to shared material interests, and it's really hard for me to see how this kind of micro dissection of the opinion is supposed to tie into that, right? And I'm not talking about like actually dissecting ideas. I actually think, sure, right? Look, it's it'd be pretty hypocritical if I thought that was like a waste of time, right? But like the person, right? Because like that's what so much of this stuff really seems to be about, right? It's like not like, oh, here's why I disagree with I don't know, right? Give me an opinionist.
Jimmy Dore Cedar. Jimmy Cedar.
Jimmy Cedar. Yeah. They got it. Jimmy Dore and Sam Cedar got into the machine from The Fly, and
Jimmy Cedar Gray. There you go. That's all of them in one.
Yeah, look, if you think like Jimmy Cedar Gray has a really bad take on some political issue, that like she is just totally out to lunch on it, and and it's that's and that they're just wrong, right? That's like, look, yeah, sure, dissect the point, right? But it's like I don't really understand what we're getting out of, like, oh, is Jimmy Cedar Gray a good guy or a bad guy, right? Man, I need to pick a gender pronoun for this person. I keep going back and forth. Yeah.
It's they them. By the way, Jimmy Cedar Gray is the they them. So take that.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's complicate. I want to complicate this so much that eventually we get canceled by making fun of a make-believe Hydra.
Yeah.
Of fucking people that I don't want to talk to right now.
Apologies for misgendering Jimmy Cedar Gray. Yeah, they have a JSG.
And he works on a show called The Breaking Vanguard Points.
Yeah, because it's like, look, I don't know why I'm supposed to care about that, right? Like in other words, like, if Jimmy Cedar Gray has a bad idea and we say, oh, Jimmy Cedar Gray said this and here are my 5 objections to it. Okay, fair enough, right? It's like, we'll have it out. And presumably the point is that we're all trying to figure out what we should think about the topic, like the underlying topic under discussion, right? That it's like, Jimmy Cedar Gray, wants to I don't even know. I think, but it's like, look, we think that the JSG, take is bad. And again, we presumably care about that because we're trying to figure out, like, I assume, right, the goal at some point is to build some kind of movement that could do things in the real world. And we're trying to figure out, like, what that movement's position on this issue should be. But, like, if it's like, oh, is Breaking Bad is JSG, like, is they are they like, oh, are they saying something different from what they said 5 years ago? Is JSG, moving to the right? That it's like, I don't understand what that's supposed to have to do with politics, right? Like, like that's not, I mean, unless it's just like, oh, well, that's one fewer vote we can count on, when they complete their transition to the right.
I love the transition to the right. It's my favorite thing is the idea that you can jettison something that you've built for, in a person like Sam Cedar's case, for decades, right? Not just in the online sphere, but being one of the few voices on the only left-leaning or liberal radio station at one point in time. And I know that might seem like ancient history to a lot of people, but him, Chuck D, Rachel Maddow was Chuck D's producer, right? Who else was on the show? Mark Maron.
Well, Janine Garofalo was the original.
Janine Garofalo was she was the bigger name on that show.
Yeah, exactly. Like Sam, I think, was like Janine.
He was like Emma Vigeland.
Yes, Sam was the Emma Vigeland when Janine Garofalo was like the main host of the Air America radio version of the Majority Report, which is some like deep podcasting lore that I'm probably going to like is just pointlessly taking up space up here. That's like, it's like all kinds of things that'd be much more useful to know, are being dislodged by that. But there we go. Kamala's gonna pay for illegal aliens to try.
These comments, because we're streaming on both channels, they're flying in and they're all pretty fucking funny. And poor Spencer is trying to have a serious conversation, and all these people are around him just saying crazy shit.
Yeah.
So, hold on, Spencer. We're gonna get to some serious shit in a second. Just
yeah.